13th. So I didn't want anyone in the audience to think that I was misnumbering anything. This first exhibit today that we'll be presenting on standing will be BLC 47. Ms. March, can you please mark the distance between the yellow pinpoint, which is 2075 Leesville Road, to the what you can ascertain as the southernmost boundary of the existing landfill, which would be in the vicinity of Apple Butter Road? Okay, can you just mark that distance? And that's to the southwesternmost boundary, approximately, of the existing landfill property. And I'd like to mark that as BLC 47. Mr. Young, if you want to.
I'm waiting for him to be a little,
That's fine. Why don't we continue with questions, and then we can get to the zoning officer's measurement at the end of questions.
I don't have any other questions. I object to the standing of this witness. Certainly the testimony with respect to water testing and the results of that, any of that is substantive, and if that's admitted as part of the substantive hearing, I'll certainly have objections and questions and things related to that, but for purposes of standing, I'm objecting because there's no basis in the record right now of the source of any alleged contamination in the water, and she's over 4 miles away from the site.
So
we don't know what.
I'm sorry. So there is no record yet, but this lady learned yesterday that her water is contaminated, and I believe she ought to be given the opportunity to ask appropriate questions of this applicant to determine whether or not the existing landfill or any proposed expansion of the landfill is the point source for the pollution of her water supply. There ought to be no distance in light of the fact that underground aquifers extend miles and miles, so she ought to be given the opportunity to raise questions. That's all she's asking, the opportunity to raise questions on her behalf of this applicant as to what effect, if any, the existing landfill or expansion of that landfill will have upon the potability of her water supply.
All right. Well,
Decent questions for someone who deserves to have a decent lifestyle and not have to truck in water to live.
okay. Please, let's
And I
try
do
to,
have
let's
the
try to get
written
through
report.
this. Ms. Segaline, you mentioned that you did this testing of your well water recently, right?
Right.
And you've discovered that there is contamination. Do you have any evidence to offer me today that that has been caused by the existing landfill?
We can have it within an hour. My husband can go get it. It's at our house.
Right. So what?
It's the written report.
And it's a written report that indicates that the actual cause associated.
No, it does not
Right,
say
so-
what the cause is.
Right, and so that's the issue here. You know, there are multiple potential causes associated with the contamination of your well water and that of your neighbor, right? And so what I need to know today is if you are truly affected by this application.
Okay.
If there
I
was.
didn't finish what my feelings were, but I can tell you another way we've been affected.
Go ahead.
We live on Route 412 in Lightsville. The trucks do deviate from their assigned routes, and they go past our house, barreling down the road, not always covered, and the sound of those trucks going by is just incredible. When we first moved to Lightsville in Lower Saucon Township, it was fairly quiet. There was a field across the street, and now there's a huge development. Slowly but surely, our township is disappearing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I thank you for your request. I certainly appreciate your concerns, but I am going to deny party status. Okay, can we have your name?
My name is Joan Gorski, and I live at 2535 Quarry Lane. I live on the edge of the Petrie's farm.
This is my client.
I am appalled at the possibility of this landfill being in my front yard. I will be facing the the backside of the landfill. Currently, the landfill that's there attracts the birds,
Mr.
the
McNair,
noise.
excuse me,
Do you
she's
ha-
within the stipulated area, so
Oh,
we don't
okay.
have any objection to her
Okay.
standing.
So,
Okay, and I'm deeply appalled by this
well,
expansion.
all right. So today we're going to listen to you. You're going to be able to participate as a party, and you're represented. So what we're determining right now is just whether or not you are going to be a party.
Okay.
And you will be able to give your comments at a later time. Okay.
Thank
So
you.
thank you,
Mhm.
Ms. Gorski will be admitted as a party.
Thank you.
All right. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to submit applications for party standing. My name is Kristen Volchansky. I reside at 1965 Willings Lane in Hellertown, although that is technically within the township of Lower Saucon. I have lived at that residence with my partner for a year or two now. My partner is the homeowner. He has been there for at least 5 or 6 years. When I went to Google Earth,
Can you state his name just in case we have to look up any
Sure.
property record information?
Jeff Richard Faubert, Faubert.
Okay, you may proceed.
Sure. When I went to Google Earth to try to do these calculations, and I am not techie, I was able to find that we are about 3.32 nautical miles from the existing landfill. I am not entirely sure how far away we are from the border of the expanded landfill. But we have some concerns about the landfill expansion, and I will go through those quickly. The first being that I really enjoy walking and jogging on the D&L trail, as well as the Saucon rail trail. I tend to lately go to the Saucon rail trail more frequently because I am also prone to migraines, which are often triggered by noxious and strong odors. And so if the odor from the landfill is strong on the D&L trail, I just can't stand to be there. So I would really like to not lose the ability to enjoy the rail trail or the D&L trail entirely. I also wanted to thank you for awarding party status to the Saucon Creek watershed because where we live are right next to the Saucon Creek. It borders the back of our developments. We also have drainage ditches strategically placed around the development to prevent flooding when we receive heavy rains. And one of those particular drainage ditches is close to the Saucon Creek. It's not unheard of for water to kind of seep back into that drainage ditch if we get a really heavy, fast rainfall. And that drainage ditch is not that far from residential homes. We also use a path through the woods that is called the Nature Loop to get to the Saucon Rail Trail. It's kind of a quick cut that takes you through the woods, by the creek, and then you cross the Water Street Bridge. So I have some concerns about leachate and the possibility of contamination of the Saucon Creek and its watershed and the impact that will have on us in the development. And then my last concerns are about the traffic congestion. From what has been described to me, the route for the trucks, if they stay on the route, should be 78 to 412 to Shimersville Road, which would mean that they would almost certainly have to use our exit at exit 67. That area is already profoundly congested at rush hour, and the only other nearest exits are the Easton exit or the Quakertown exit. That causes a real problem for people like me or commuters. I have a very long commute. My office is in Wilkes-Barre, so on a good day with no traffic, that's an hour and a half in one direction. To give you an example, last summer, there was an accident right before exit 67. It took me over an hour to get from the Quakertown exit to exit 67 to get home that night. So with more truck traffic, that's a real imposition to people who live in the area. And to get anywhere, we need to use 412 and we need to use 78.
Okay. Ms. Garber, do you have questions of Kristen? Can you spell your last name one more time, Kristen? I'm sorry, I
Sure,
didn't get it down.
absolutely. V as in Valley, Olchansky.
And you filled out an application?
I do. I have it with
Oh, you have it with you?
Yes.
Okay. Are you finished with it so that you
Yes.
could hand it up?
Sure,
Okay.
absolutely.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, Ms. Garber, do you have questions?
I don't have any questions based on the testimony provided. I would object to this witness's request for party status.
Okay. Any other questions of the witness? Jim, did you do 3.6 from the property limits of each property? Okay. All right. Ms. Volchansky, I appreciate the statement you've made today and the request that you've made, but I am going to deny party status at this time. You will obviously have an opportunity to give public comment later in the proceeding, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Can you give us your name and address?
My name is Cynthia McKellen, McKellin. I live at 2166 Kistler Avenue in the township.
This is a client of mine.
Okay.
And I know I live very far away from the landfill. I'm very fortunate. I have city water. I don't see the landfill from my home. I don't smell the landfill from my home. I don't have effects from my home. However, I'm here today as a user of the D&L Trail and the Lehigh River. And in particular, I use those two trails between Bethlehem and Easton because they're in closest proximity to my home. I am a hiker, I do bike riding. When the weather permits, I go cross-country skiing. I've used the Lehigh River for kayaking. I feel that the existing landfill, there already are smells and trash. I can't say for sure the trash only comes from the landfill that affect the beauty of the D&L Trail and the peacefulness and serenity for the reasons I use the trail. There are also effects that might happen with trees and plants as the landscaping is destroyed. That will also affect birds and animals. Currently, we can sometimes see eagles and osprey fishing in the Lehigh River. When you go down the Farmersville Road to the Farmersville Road trailhead, you see a mountain of trash in front of you. That's man-made pile of garbage. There are also two benches located between mile marker 66 and 65 that face the Lehigh River. And I'm sure they were put there with the intention of sitting there peacefully to be able to enjoy the trail and the river. So I feel like this expansion will greatly impact the beauty of that trail and my use of the trail.
Okay. Do you have anything that you wish to present on behalf of Ms. McKellen before I allow for questions?
With the enlargement of the landfill, will this impact your peaceful use and enjoyment of the recreational facilities that were provided by the D&L Trail?
Absolutely.
Well, certainly, I think that's speculation. I think you can say that you anticipate that, but whether it will or it will not would be speculation.
Well, currently on the trail, you're not going to be observing a landfill, are you?
You do see the landfill from the trail currently.
But now this will
It will increase
deforest?
it'll increase the amount of area where the landfill exists.
Okay, and diminish the quality of the environment that was
Exactly.
protected.
All right. Ms. Garber, do you have questions?
I don't have any questions based on the testimony. I object to this witness's standing as a party in this matter.
All right. Do we have a distance measurement?
4.02.
And again, just so the record's clear, that is from the limits, right, of the property out to the limits of her property. Okay. All right. Ms. McKellen, thank you for requesting party status. I am going to deny your request at this time, but you will have the opportunity to make public comment, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, yes, sir.
You have my form. My name's Bob McKellen, the husband of Cindy, who was just
Okay.
here. And additionally, I'm not sure if she volunteers for the DNL, retired 8 years ago and signed on with them and have been doing trail cleanups and painting in the Hugh Park Museum. As far as anything else goes, Ms. Garber mentioned conservation easements that might be available and throughout this or after this proceeding, but conservation easements to the landfill through the years have proved to be nothing. You know, they just, 1999, I lived in Steel City, and 1994, there was easements that were proposed and supposed to be in place. It was going to be, we're never going to move beyond our current boundaries and. well,
Excuse me. Because I don't believe that this is relevant to the issue of whether this witness has standing.
I'm going to give you a little bit of latitude. If you have heard specifically yourself that they violated an easement or that they proposed to comply with something and did not, that's information.
I think this whole area that they're talking about was in conservation easements in 1994 easements. Also, I'm concerned about the Lehigh River. In 2004, Tropical Storm Ivan came through. If anybody here is from Steel City, you know what happened to the Narrows. It was blocked for a long period of time, and it was a washout from the current landfill. Just a couple weeks ago, the Bethlehem Sewage Treatment Plant posted a warning in the Morning Call newspaper that during storms, severe storms of over 2 inches, they warned residents to stay away from the Lehigh below the plant for at least 24 hours because they're going to have a flow right through the treatment plant if there's over 2 inches of rain in a day. That concerns me in the Lehigh River. That's all I have. So,
Okay.
I'm 4.02 also.
Right. And you are represented by Mr. Aztec as well, correct?
Right.
Okay. Anything different to offer, Mr. Aztec?
No, I just to confirm, Mr. McCollum, that you are a user of the trail and a keeper of the trail.
Yes. Yes.
And based upon your knowledge, this will impact your use of the trail
Absolutely.
and impact the quality of your life.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Garber. Do you have any questions?
I don't have any other questions, but based on the testimony provided, I would object to this witness's standing in this proceeding.
Okay. All right, Mr. McMillan, thank you for coming forward. We are going to deny party status, but again, you will have the opportunity to make public comment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hi, my name's Ken Bloss. I live at 511 Constitution Avenue in Hellertown, Pennsylvania, and I own a home at 2032 Riverside Drive in Steel City. When these meetings first started,
Let's hang on for a second because
Okay.
that could be
I'm a
within
taxpayer.
the area.
Within Steel City, yes, that's
It
part of the
is.
stipulation. So we
Right
don't
on-
have any objection to this
All right.
gentleman's party
Riverside
status.
Drive,
Right on there, right.
and Ivy, can't
And,
miss
and so you own that property.
it. For many years.
And therefore you potentially are affected. They're stipulating or agreeing to you being a party to the proceeding. Okay? So we're going to approve your request for party status. All right?
I'm in.
Thank you.
Pardon me? Hello. B as in boy, L-O-S-S as in Sam Sam. Thank you. That's what my wife.
If there are people within the stipulated area in Steel City, there's really no reason for them to be standing in line.
Correct.
We can ask them to come forward and we can dispose of them.
Yeah, so at the last hearing, what we did was we asked people that were living or own property within that stipulated area to come forward first, because they are quick requests that we can get you out of here if you don't want to have to stay for the day. So I just asked that if you're not within that, if you could just move off to the side. If you are within that stipulated area, and can we pull that map back up quickly? Then I do want to address those first. Okay, sir, can you state your name?
My name's Cody Miller. I live at 2533 Quarry Lane, Hellertown, PA.
Is that within this area?
Yeah, yep.
Okay. All right. Any objection to Mr. Miller being a party?
No objection.
All right, Mr. Miller, you are going to be a party to the proceeding. Thank you. All right. Yes, sir.
Good morning. My name is Adam Callen, A-T-O-M-K-A-L-L-E-N. I live at 4263 Roberts Avenue in Steel City.
Okay, and that's within Steel City, so he's within the stipulated area. Is that correct, Ms. Garber?
Yes, based on the testimony, so I would have no objection.
All right. And do you have a form that you filled out? You have it with you there? Okay. If you can hand that, I'll come grab it from you. All right, and just so the record's clear, Mr. Callen will be a party to the proceeding based on the stipulation. Thank you, sir.
Mr. McNair, would it be possible to have a quick sidebar with the lawyers before?
Yes. All right, we're going to go back on the record. I just want to make a statement for the record and then allow any attorneys who wish to address the statement to do so. So we haven't been swearing anyone in during this process, but we're going through a process that's just a request for standing and for party status. So we're not asking anyone to provide evidence, and nothing that you're going to say during this process of requesting party status or seeking standing is going to become part of the evidentiary record. It's not evidence in this case. So, we're, to a certain extent, I've been conducting this informally without requesting that every single person have to swear under oath as to what they're telling me. All right, we're taking it that you're providing us with truthful information as to how you feel you're going to be affected. And we're going to continue in that manner. I'm not going to swear everyone in, but understand that the information you're giving is not part of the record. It's not evidence in this case. It's merely being considered for the purpose of whether or not you are affected by the application and therefore potentially a party or going to become a party to the proceeding. Okay? Does anyone wish to supplement what I just stated?
On behalf of my clients, we stipulate for that.
Okay. Is that satisfactory, Ms. Garber?
That's fine with me, yes, thank you.
All right. Then let's proceed, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Jill Williams. I live at 2095 Johnston Avenue in Steel City.
And did you fill out an application the other day?
On Monday.
All right. So you're within the stipulated area, correct?
Yes, as testified to, so no objection here.
All right, Ms. Williams, you will be a party to the proceeding. Thank you. Just give me a moment. I need to find Ms. Williams' application. All right. Our next one is Catherine Duffy. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, ma'am.
I live at 2710 Reddington Road within the stipulated area.
Okay. Why don't we just confirm that that's within the area? So let me just give them a minute.
There's a Google image that was just pulled up, and we're gonna mark that BLC 48. And it appears that this witness's property is outside of the stipulated area.
Absolutely not. I'm next door neighbor to the Octops.
Correct, the Optoffs
Oh,
are not
okay.
within the stipulated
No.
area. They were
They're
granted
not.
party status.
So their property, my recollection is, and I'd have to go back and look at my notes, but my recollection is they're approximately 0.77 miles away. This area that's been depicted on here has an outline that's approximately a half a mile away from the area that is going to be disturbed by this proposed landfill, the expansion of the proposed landfill. So while other individuals have received party status that are outside of this stipulated area, as Mr. Avtoff did, you're not within the area that the applicant is specifically agreeing to allow you to be a party. So what I'm going to need is for you to just advise me as to how you feel you are affected.
Certainly.
Okay.
I actually took pictures at my property yesterday, and this back of the landfill, the proposed area for this expansion is within direct view of my front yard and all of my yard. I am on a well. Our water is dependent upon clean, clear water, not runoff from this landfill going into our groundwater. And I have no desire to watch the band of seagulls that's going to go swirling around this mound that's going to be in direct view of the front of my house. Nor do I have any desire to watch or hear any of the truck traffic in addition to what we already have. And I do not want to watch bulldozers or dump trucks pushing or dumping garbage from front view of my dining room window.
Are you able to hear the current operation at the...
No, because we have over 200 acres of forested land.
Would you anticipate being able to hear the operation if it expands as proposed?
I don't see why not.
Is the forested land between your home and the expansion of the landfill?
Yes, we're directly next to the autopsy.
So with deforestation, we've already heard, it will permit sounds to travel further.
I'm going to
Smell.
object to that. That seems like
Well,
substantive evidence.
It's leading and it's argumentative, but we're just trying to get to the bottom of how you potentially would be impacted by the application. Are you able to smell any of the odors currently from the existing
When we
landfill?
first built our house, it was much more prevalent. Occasionally we do now, not any time in the last week that I've noticed.
But
I do.
occasionally you do?
We did, absolutely, and I do anticipate there being a problem with the expansion of this landfill.
Okay, and so I've written down a number of the issues. Is there anything else that you'd like to present before we get into the distance that your property's away, and then any questions? Anything else from you?
No, I took pictures yesterday. If you really want proof that I will actually see this, smell this, whatever, from my property.
Okay. Let's do a distance measurement so I have an idea of where this property is in relation to the applicant's parcel.
I'm going to ask my colleague to pull it up on Google Earth. Ms. March, is that what's on the screen right now with the yellow tack? And then if you could please do a measurement to the eastern blue line, or, to the corner where we've...
Do we have the GIS measurement, which is?
Excuse me, I'm going to present my exhibit, and then we can follow up with the GIS exhibit.
That's fine. We can have two different exhibits and we can have two different measurements and they mean different things. So
Of course.
Yep.
So the measurement on here is from the witness's property to the closest property line where the expansion is proposed, and that measurement is 0.77. Can we please mark that as BLC 48? And I just have a couple of questions for you. So did you testify that you can currently hear the landfill? Am I correct?
No, because it's not expanded on the other side.
So you don't currently hear the landfill. And I think you had testified that you have occasionally smelled the landfill?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So have you ever reported an odor that you believe is coming from the existing Bethlehem landfill?
I have not, because in the past, when it has been reported, the time lapse between when it was reported and when they actually tested it was too long, and it has not been confirmed.
So you have reported it in the past?
I have not, no.
So you've never called it into DEP or the township or the landfill itself because you are working under the impression that nobody would be responsive to that?
No, I'm working under the fact that it hasn't always been confirmed, because the time between when it was reported and when it was tested was too long and the smell was gone.
Well, what is your basis for that, since you've never reported it?
Because it has been reported in the news and among neighbors. I've been there over 20 years.
So this is not based on your personal experience, is that correct?
The smell is my personal experience, yes.
Your testimony with respect to the responsiveness or lack thereof with respect to a formal report is not based on your personal experience, is that
Not
correct?
my personal experience, that is correct.
Okay, that's all I have. Based on the testimony that's been provided, I would object to this witness's standing to be a party in this proceeding.
Can we confirm the GIS measurement here? Because it should be the closest point of Ms. Duffy's property to the edge of the use area.
We're going to get that measurement from the zoning officer.
Do you want the use area, or do you want?
No, I want the limits. I want a measurement from the limit of the property to the limit of her property.
The property.
0.8, so that's compared to the 0.77 on our BLC 48, for the record.
Okay, Ms. Duffy, based on the information you've given, I am going to grant party status to you.
I have an additional question that I don't know how to handle. My husband travels for work, and I have 3 adult children who reside with me when they are home from school. Are they allowed party status if I cannot be here and speak on behalf of our family as I take care of my elderly parents?
They're going to have to come in and request it, and if
They don't live here. Like, my husband is currently working in Virginia.
Mhm.
My 2 older children are away at college, and my high schooler is in high school right now.
So what you're asking is if one of them were available, but you and your husband were not,
Right,
that could they come in and ask questions?
right.
I would ask them at that point to establish party status. So they would have to establish that they reside there, full-time, that they're
How do I
residing.
go about that?
Well, if they're coming in to participate, they would come forward and make a request of party status.
Okay.
They'd have to fill out a form, make a request, and then I would make a determination. But, since if they're truly residing at the premises, it's likely, if they can tell me that they're affected in the same or a similar way to what you are. But I need to hear that from the individual.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Just backing up, did we find Jill Williams' application?
We did not.
Did she leave?
Yes, I tried to look for her, but I think she left.
All right.
So we'll,
We can catch up with her.
Victoria, do you know Jill Williams?
Is it Joe Williams here yet?
Jill.
She left. All right, we'll figure it out.
All
We'll
right.
find her in the system.
And
Get ahold of her.
can someone give me her address? I wrote down 2095, but I didn't get the rest of it.
We'll take care of getting an application.
Okay, appreciate that. All right, yes, come forward. Let's get your name and your address.
Good morning, Michael Hudak, 4005 Wilson Avenue, Bethlehem Township. I live directly across from the dump on the north side of the Lehigh River. My application, I was at a medical procedure on Monday, but I did have my neighbor bring in my application, and I just want to confirm that it's here and that I have party status. And if I know this is an evidentiary hearing, but if I could just make like 15 seconds of comments on it, I would
All right,
appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. Let me just grab your application.
It appears that he's within the stipulated area, so we have no objection to this gentleman's party status.
So you are going to be a party. I do want to make sure that I have your application, because if I can't locate it, no, here we go. 4005 Wilson Avenue, Bethlehem, right, Mr. Hudak?
Correct.
Okay, so you are a party to the proceeding. You're going to be able to present this information that you just talked about later on in the process. For today, we've just got to get through a lot of people, okay?
Understand. Just a quick question. Do we have an idea yet of when that hearing will be?
Well, the testimony is likely to start later today.
Oh, okay. Not be able
But
to
I'm
be
not.
here.
I am not suggesting at all that we're going to get to your case. That will not happen until many, many, hearings down the line.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Okay.
So the way that this is likely to proceed is the applicant's going to present a number of witnesses. That's likely to take through the end of March.
Right.
And then we're going to get into attorney cases, and then we're
Right.
going to get into resident cases.
Being an ex-public, elected public official, I understand that. So
Okay.
the actual conditional use hearing won't be for some time yet.
No, the conditional use hearing is actually ongoing right now. This
Oh,
is
okay.
part of the hearing
Status
process.
for testimony right now.
Right now, we're in a procedural aspect of the hearing, and it's a request for party status.
Right.
The next event, or the next aspect of the hearing, will be the applicant presenting their first witness.
Right. Okay. Can I make a comment quick?
No comments at this time.
Okay.
I cannot take
Okay,
comments.
thank you. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, hi, ma'am.
Hi.
Give us your name and address.
Stacy Mizensky, MISCZENSKI.
Did you fill out an application?
I did. It's
Okay.
in your pile.
Thank you.
Um,
You may proceed.
I live in the village of Steel City, 4231 Roberts Avenue.
We have no objection to this witness's party status as a result of being within the stipulated area.
All right. Ms. Mazinski, you are a party then to the proceeding.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Morning.
Good morning.
I'm Ursula Tomlinson, Tomlinson, and I live at 1905 Saucon Lane, which I believe is approximately 5.1 miles from some edge of the landfill.
Okay, can you tell us how you would be affected or impacted by the proposal?
So I don't smell nor see nor hear anything that my fellow Lower Saucon Township residents do. But I get my water and my sewer service through the Bethlehem Water and Sewer Resource, which is the company that actually filters the leachate that comes out of the landfill. So my potable water, the water I wash in, the water I cook with, the stuff that I use to water my garden, including vegetables, comes from that source. With an increase in the size of the landfill, I think it's unknown how much more stress will be put on that water authority. There are different things that come from the landfill, and there is information about certain toxic chemicals that would be dumped from various sources in the Bethlehem Water Authority catchment area that need to be filtered out in order to make that safe water. I'm not dependent on a well, but I'm dependent on Bethlehem. There's a question of whether or not there is going to be the ability to have pre-treatment done at that landfill to filter out things such as BOD, pH.
Excuse me, I'm going to interrupt here. I understand the witness to be testifying that she's concerned about the impact of the proposed expansion on her water that she receives. It sounds like public water. I think any other testimony on this point is speculative and irrelevant to, I mean, she stated what her concerns are. The rest of this is substantive testimony that's inappropriate at this time.
I'm gonna give you a little leeway.
Okay.
All right, we can't get into things that would be hearsay that you've just heard or that an expert would have told you.
It's not
Okay.
This is actually from the from what is on the website from
Okay,
the Water and Sewer.
so that's hearsay.
Yeah, the technical definition of hearsay would actually include that. So it's any out-of-court statement offer for the truth of the matter asserted. It's what hearsay is. But I'm going to give you a little bit of leeway, and we're not bound by any rules of evidence. Then what you're stating now, of course, is not evidence. It's just how it's going to impact you, okay? So I understand you have concerns related to the public water. And go ahead and continue.
I think my other concern is that we use the DNL trail, and I'm not sure where this information came from. Sorry, I didn't bring the paper with me. You've got the paper in front of you, sorry. The application I put in the other day.
Okay.
There is some question of what will happen if there is clear cut of the woods that are around that area now. I believe that there may be an allowance for some sort of distribution of new trees, new bushes, new landscaping elsewhere, or payment in lieu of what may be used.
I'm sorry, I'm going to object again here. I think if this witness could stick to what her perceived potential impact is as a result of the expansion without getting into some of the substantive details about whether there's going to be clear cutting, what the implications of that are, what's required under the ordinance.
So
I will sustain that. Let's talk about how you individually, as the individual who owns and resides at 1905 Saucon Lane, would be affected, okay?
So I'm worried about my water. I'm worried about being able to use the DNL trail. And I'm worried about the possibility of increasing costs to have that water cleaned.
Okay. All right, do we have any questions of Ms. Tomlinson?
I just wanted a clarification. Ms. Tomlinson, did you say approximately how far you were from the landfill?
I think I'm 5.179 miles.
Okay, based on that testimony and all of the testimony that this witness has provided, I'm going to object to this witness's standing in this matter.
Any other questions? All right. So you haven't given us any real information as to exactly where the water treatment occurs.
Bethlehem Water.
Right. Okay, and the location of that, just so that we have everything in the record, but where is the location of that?
Wherever the Bethlehem Water Authority is. It's the, it's
All
the
right.
treatment plant.
Okay.
The address is listed, Sean.
All right. Based on your application, the information you've supplied today, I understand your concerns, but I am going to deny party status at this time. You are going to be able to give public comment, though, at the end of the proceeding, okay?
Mhm.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, sir. I don't know where all these people are from. I know the last three are from Steel City.
Okay, yeah, as I stated earlier, I appreciate you bringing that to my attention. As I stated earlier, if you are within the area that was stipulated to on Monday concerning party status, and we have the map up right now over here to my right, to your left, I'm going to ask that those people come forward so that you can make a request. We can get you in and out of here if you need to leave. So anyone who believes that they reside within that area depicted on the map to my right, I'm going to ask that you step forward. If you don't, please, step off to your right. You're going to need to go to the microphone, sir.
And also, just to be clear, it's within that red line and also within Steel City.
That's correct.
Steel City is included, so if you reside in Steel City, you can come forward.
Yes. All right. So we're going to, I still have to go through the process of getting your name and getting your address, okay?
All right.
Okay, sir, you can state your name and address.
My name is Robert Kemmerer, Kemmerer. I live at 2108 Snyder Avenue in Steel City. I did fill out a request on Monday.
Yeah, I believe I saw it, so I will pull that out. I'll pull that out of the pile here. Okay, any objection?
No objection.
All right, Mr. Kemmerer, you are a party to the proceeding.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am, okay, you can bring that forward, I'm sorry. Thank you. And then if you could go to the microphone and state your name and address.
My name is Janine Bonham. I live at 4303 Jefferson Avenue, Bethlehem, in
Okay.
Steel City. I can see the landfill from my backyard.
Okay, so you're in Steel City, so I don't think there's going to be any objection.
No objection.
All right, Ms. Bonham, you are a party to the proceeding. Thank you.
Snyder Avenue. Okay? Yes. I gotta go, I gotta get my taxes done.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Free if this goes through.
All right.
Okay, ma'am, for the record, can you state your name and your address?
Nicolette Stavrovsky, 4303 Jefferson Avenue, Bethlehem.
Do you reside with Ms. Bonham?
Yes,
Okay,
46 years I've been there,
okay,
which, as a side note, thought this would be over in 4. I live next door to Matt.
okay. Any objection?
No, this property is in Steel City, so it's within the stipulated area. I have no objection.
Okay, Mr. Stravosky?
That's pretty good.
Okay, sorry.
Stavrovsky.
All right, you are a party to the proceeding. Thank you very much.
Ernest Stavrovsky, 4303 Jefferson Avenue, Bethlehem, PA, 18015.
Okay, and so you reside at the same address as the prior two parties, correct?
Yes.
All right. Any objection?
No objection.
All right. Ernest, you are a party to the proceeding.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Elizabeth with an S, Barshinger, and I live at 2578 Reddington Road East. Barshinger.
And do you believe you're within the stipulated area?
It's going to be very close. I live at the bottom of the hill from all the people from Reddington,
Okay.
so I'm very close.
All right, so we're going to take a minute and try to find your property on the map, okay? And did you fill out an
I
application the other
did
day?
last week, not last week, a couple of days. Yeah, thank you. Seems like a week.
Okay, I have the application. Do we have Mr. Young? Were you able to locate her property?
.41.
Okay. Is she within that?
Just to be clear, the .41 measurement is from property line to property
That's
line.
correct.
The stipulated area was a half mile from the
Right.
disposal area as reflected on the Google Earth image, so.
I understand.
She's,
That's
just
why
for
I
the
asked.
record's clear, yeah, she's not within the stipulated area, but she is .41 miles property line to property line.
Might I suggest that that would be sufficient without further inquiry?
I don't have any objection to this
Okay.
witness's party status.
All right. Based on there being no objection, Ms. Barshinger, you are a party to the proceeding.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Name and address, please.
My name is Eugene Boyer. Address is 2332 Farmersville Road, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, 18020. I live in the township.
And so you're not within the stipulated area, correct? You're outside of that?
No, I don't.
Okay. And did you fill out an application?
I did this morning. I gave it to you.
Okay. All right, I have that. So we need to hear how you feel you would be affected by the application. All right? You want to proceed with that?
I think that the fact that I've been using the DNL for probably about 18 years, 12 years of that, we lived in Steel City and had all of the ramifications when we lived there at in the 12 years. The last 6 years we live in the township, but we walk on a very much on a frequently basis. I had heart problems and I needing to do to walk. We've had experience with the landfill smelling. We're not interested in not wanting into the landfill on the north side because our view is actually almost right against the mountain where we are. We are at the top side of the Farmersville Road.
So are you able to smell the odors from the landfill from your property, or is that when you're walking on the trail?
In the rail. Okay, I mean,
But not from where you reside, right?
I don't know that it's specifically maybe into where I live, but we do that, and we've had that problem. So the fact that what the landfill's going to do as far as the side of the mountain and so forth, what it's going to look, what it's going to change, and its problem and so forth. You know, we're not interested in having that kind of change the problem. And like I said, after 12 years of we've lived in Steel City, we've gotten all of those other ones, problems.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to offer before questions?
I just think that it's, it's going to be detrimental to the fact that where we walk and what we like, what we do when we walk.
Yes.
And along there.
Okay.
And so forth.
All right. Ms. Garber, do you have questions?
No questions. Based on the testimony, I would object to Mr. Boyer's status as a party in this proceeding.
Do we have a measurement for that one from property line to property line?
1.13.
Okay. Any other questions from anyone else? Okay. All right, Mr. Boyer, I understand your concerns, but I am going to deny party status at this time. You will be given an opportunity to make public comment.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, can you state your name?
Good morning. My name is Armando Perez. Property address is 650 Burger Road.
And where is that in relation to the landfill?
It's approximately 3 miles, 3.9 miles from my property.
Okay, can you tell us how you feel you would be affected or the reasons why you feel you should have standing today?
I do use the DNL trail. I do the bike riding. I do the walking there. I do use the Butter Road. And I notice there's a lot of more vultures. And I have a lot of, I have a small business with white doves. And I've been realizing that a lot of the vultures been coming towards my property. So this affects my business with my birds being attacked. I am also a member of the gun club, and I feel that when I use the woodland preserves, where I do the bird watching there, the smell there, you can smell the odor from the landfill. So not only does it affect my business with the vultures, I think there's going to have an increase attacking my birds, but my health as far as when I use the roads, the gun club, when I go to the woodland preserves, and when I do use the DNL trail.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any questions of Mr. Perez?
I have just a few questions. So, Mr. Perez, you testified that you have a dove business, and I think you said that there are vultures that are currently attacking your birds. Is that correct?
That's correct.
How often does that happen?
Well, normally it happens between the winter months up to the month of June, but I realized now the vultures, they seem to linger around much longer. So during this time of the season, I'm not allowed to let my birds out because of the attack on them.
And are you testifying that in your opinion, the vultures are coming from the Bethlehem landfill?
Well, I'm sure they're coming. Yeah, I'm sure they linger around much longer. And if there's going to be an increase on the landfill, it's going to be towards my direction of where my business is.
Okay, but is there any specific basis for your assumption that they're coming from the Bethlehem landfill?
I can't testify that I know of, but I'm sure there's going to be an increase on vultures.
I would like to mark the Google Earth image that's up on the screen right now as BLC 49. And on BLC 49, your property address is depicted with the yellow pin. And I think you had testified you're about 3.9 miles from Bethlehem landfill, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and if you look on BLC 49, I'm going to ask my colleague, Ms. March, to identify where on BLC 49 the Shrin landfill is. Can you do that, please, Ms. March? Okay, so can you generally measure a distance from the edge of the Shrin landfill closest to Mr. Perez's property to his property? And what's that distance, Ms. March? 1.19 miles. Okay, so it appears that you're closer to the Shrin landfill currently than the Bethlehem landfill, Mr. Perez. Is that appear to be accurate?
Correct.
Okay, so the vultures that you're testifying about could be coming from the Shrin landfill, is that correct?
Well, I'm sure they're going to be coming from both landfills, right?
Or from any other source, correct?
Yes, but they would be coming from both landfills.
Okay, so there's no specific evidence other than a generalized concern. There really isn't anything specifically that you can point to with respect to an impact on your dove business. Is that correct?
Well, like I stated, they'll be coming from both landfills. It's going to be an increase of more vultures in the area, and they're going to be coming from both.
Okay. I'm going to object to this witness's party status here. I think that there is no evidence other than mere speculation as to the potential impact, and given the location of his property and its closer proximity to the Shrin landfill, I would object to his party status here.
If I may ask a few questions of Mr. Perez, do you know of any other reason for vultures to be flying around our community other than to prey upon mountains of trash and landfills?
I'm going to object to the nature of that question.
That was the same leading question that you asked, and there's no reason for vultures to be here other than trash.
Well, it's the
not like we
trash.
have dead animals all over the
Yeah,
place.
it's the-
I am going to sustain the objection. We're getting really far afield of.
You know, I think this gentleman has a legitimate impact upon his dove business. He has little white birds flying in the air that require exercise, and he's worried that the vultures, which aren't.
Does Mr. Aztec represent this witness? I mean, if he has questions, he can ask.
To the guy's cause. You know, if I had little birds flying in the air, I wouldn't want vultures to be preying on them. So I'm totally sympathetic to him.
Your sympathy is irrelevant. Mr. McNair, could you please?
All right.
Totally relevant.
Okay, if you have a question, you can ask a question. As I have before, I will allow questions, but we're not going to get into making argument on behalf of people you don't represent.
I'm going to show you a photo here.
Can you pull that up on the screen? I'm going to object to this. Mr. McNair, please.
It's a bunch of vultures sitting on a fence waiting for little white birds to be flying around.
Mr.
All right,
McNair, I'm objecting to this.
What relevance does the photo have?
It shows vultures.
And where is this picture from?
In Lower Saucon Grounds. It's within the task.
Okay.
For the
You know,
record, I'm going to reiterate my objection to any of this argument / testimony.
I'd just like the gentleman to explain, number one, is there any reason that you know of for vultures to be flying around our community other than the existence of landfills?
Yeah, exactly. The landfill attracts these type of birds, not only the vultures, but also the hawks.
And what impact do these predatory raptors have upon your business and your dove business?
Well, during the early springtime is the perfect time for me to start practicing my birds, to train them. And because of the increase of vultures, I'm not allowed to do that. So it affects my business as far as me training my birds and having my birds ready for the calls that I get usually during the early times of the springtime. So my birds are not only the training, but the amount of money that I lose, with the vultures attacking them.
And could you please explain the dove business a little bit better so we all understand?
I do voluntary service for the schools where I do the histories on birds. I do services for veterans, free services, but most of my business is funerals
Excuse me, I'm going
and
to
weddings.
object to the image that's being posted on the screen right now.
Yeah, you need to remove it.
You asked for it. Now, what is this?
Those are the vultures. Yeah.
But he can't identify that picture, right? You can't testify.
Of course I can. I'm quite familiar with those birds.
Is that a fair and accurate representation of that location?
Not the location, but the type.
Are those the kind of birds you see flying in the
Oh,
air?
yeah.
All
oh,
right,
yeah.
take
Those are
down
there.
the
You got that,
image.
you got the hawks, and you got, yeah, sure.
All right, we know, I know what a vulture is, so I don't need to see a picture of it. All right, any other questions? Okay, based on what's been presented, Mr. Perez, I am going to deny your request for party status. I understand it's unique, but I am going to deny the request for party status. And you are going to be able to give public comment, so you'll be able to give us the information concerning your business and the birds in public comment, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, can you state your name?
John Carver, C-A-R-B as in Bravo, E-R, 2387 Wassergass Road, Hellertown.
Mr. Perez, are you still here? I don't believe I had a written application.
We're having grab. Everybody sits on their ass.
Mr. Carver, did you fill out a written application?
Did, handed it in Monday.
All right. Okay, you can proceed with how you feel you're going to be impacted or affected and why you feel standing should be granted to you.
Well, I agree with everything that was said about the DNR trail, which I've used quite a bit, and all the concerns about the Lehigh River and its flow into the Delaware, where I've spent hundreds, if not thousands, of hours recreating, fishing, canoeing, and the like, swimming. But kind of for selfish, or a little more directly related to myself personally, and I'd be willing to say this under oath, I can smell that landfill on certain days when the wind is right from my front door. So I'm worried about, subsequent resale value of my property. So when I made the decision to buy that property 20 years ago, I was, had taken into consideration the life expectancy of that landfill and knowing that, it would probably be sunsetting long before I left the property. So when things are changed, and I really feel for the people that are closer to it than me, I believe I'm about 2.5 miles away, you do your due diligence, and then you make the largest, for most of us, the most expensive purchase of our lives, and then, you can have that substantially impacted when the rules are changed.
Okay. Anything else before we open you up to questions?
No, I would say no.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I have a lot of comments, but this isn't the place for those, right?
No.
Okay.
Right now, we're just trying to figure out whether or not you would be a party. So
Mhm.
just with respect to standing issues, do you have anything else to offer?
No, but in anticipating the question about whether I ever reported it, I would say no. I didn't know that was an option, and like I said, I was counting on the fact that this would be sunsetting, in a certain period of time. I didn't really know that I had any recourse. And again, which I would be happy to say on road, it's not every day. But when the wind is right and the air currents are right, I can definitively smell that landfill from my front door.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Ms. Garber, do you have any questions of Mr. Carver?
Well, I would like to pull up a Google image just to get an idea of how far Mr. Carver's property is from the Bethlehem landfill. So on BLC 50, I think we're on, the yellow tack is the location of your property, Mr. Carver, and then Ms. March, can we get a measurement? Let's just take a measurement to Apple Butter Road in the vicinity of the existing landfill. .15 miles. Mr. Carver, you indicated that you occasionally smell the existing Bethlehem landfill. There's a lot of stuff between you and the landfill. How do you know that's a landfill odor?
Because, well, I know what trash smells like, which is one of the reasons that your question the other day about the leaf dump and the odors there was a little bit frustrating to me, because I can tell you a leaf dump doesn't smell at all.
Compost pile doesn't smell?
No.
Not like a garbage.
No, it does not.
Okay, you're testifying, okay. So you've never smelled the compost, you've never smelled compost? It has no odor? Is that your testimony?
Well, I've smelled leaves and I've smelled pine trees and the things that are dumped at that post, yeah.
How close are you to the compost facility?
I don't know.
Are you closer to the compost facility than the landfill?
I don't know.
Do you know if the UGI facility in between your property and the landfill ever emits an odor?
I don't know.
Are you aware of a UGI natural gas, liquidated natural gas storage tank in between your property and the landfill?
Yeah.
So you don't know whether any odors are ever emanating from that?
I've never smelled them, no.
I think you testified you've never reported an odor because you didn't know that you were able to report an odor?
Yeah,
that
I didn't, yeah, that's what I said. I never thought that I would have any sort of recourse or, yeah, I didn't think to report it to anybody, no.
If you have any other issue with respect to things happening in the township, would you ever pick up the phone and call the township and express a concern about that?
I might.
Okay, so
give me an
I don't have any other questions. I object to this gentleman's status as a party in this proceeding.
So I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Would you anticipate that?
All right, you can't ask Ms.
Okay.
Garber any questions. If you have a procedural question, I'm happy to try to answer that.
I don't have a procedural question.
Okay. You have anything else to offer? Are there any other questions?
I'd like to point out that I believe we have testimony of a direct impact of odor that this gentleman has positively identified. And,
Okay, I can hear that. Yep.
I'd just like to emphasize that I believe he ought to be granted standing.
Okay. Understand your concerns, Mr. Carver, but I am going to deny party status. You will have an opportunity to make public comment.
Do I get to ask him questions?
No, sir.
Okay, nope, just ask, 'cause I got him.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. State your name.
My name's Amy Carver. I too live at 2387 Wasser Goss Road in Hellertown.
And it looks like, Ms. Carver, you filled out 2 applications.
I did. I gave you one the other day, and I just thought so you didn't have to dig through, and I'd like that one I gave you now to replace it. The one I gave you the other day. I don't want to waste anybody's time, but I do think based on the fact that we can smell the odor from our property, that we should be granted party status, and I do want that to be on the record. The only way that I would differ in the way that I am affected, other than what my husband already stated, is that I have horses on our property and I ride, and I do ride in areas and neighboring properties that are closer to the township. I'm sorry, closer to the landfill, so the odors and the noise are stronger as you get closer, obviously. One of the properties that I ride on is about 1.5 miles from the distance as the crow flies. So that's the only way that I would differ from what my husband said and my individual impact.
Okay, I appreciate you pointing that out. Any questions of Ms. Carver?
I have no questions, but I would object to Ms. Carver's status as a party in this proceeding.
All right, any other questions? All right, Ms. Carver, for the same reasons that I deny party status to your husband, I am going to deny party status, but we will entertain your public comments, okay?
Can I just ask, what does that do for us, the public comments? Did I need to testify today to get public comment?
No, you don't have to testify today.
Okay, and what does that do for the opposition to the landfill, to publicly comment?
It provides the hearing officer and or the municipality with information concerning your specific concerns associated with the proposal.
Okay, so I just have one other procedural question. So we weren't allowed to provide evidence in our testimony, anybody, but Ms. Garber was allowed to deny evidence. She was allowed to use evidence based on the evidence, like we weren't allowed to use evidence today, but they were.
Right, so the evidence, when I am talking about evidence, anything that you're saying and giving me right now, it's technically evidence, but it's going towards whether or not you are to be deemed to be a party to the proceeding. So for purposes of your request for standing, it's evidence. Where you live and your testimony concerning that, that's evidence. When we look at, locations on maps, it's evidence to me, but it's not part of the factual evidence going towards whether or not the conditional use is going to get approved. So that's the distinction. Right now, the only relevant issue is whether or not you're going to be granted party status. And that's what I'm considering your testimony for right now. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Ma'am, can you state your name and address?
Donna Louder, 2145 Johnston Avenue, Bethlehem, PA 18015.
Sorry, what was your name again?
Donna Louder, Louder.
Mr. McNair, this property, I believe, is in Steel City, so.
It's in Steel City.
We would have no
Okay.
objection to Ms. Louder's party
All right.
status.
Ms. Louder, you will be a party to the proceedings.
Okay, so I don't have to go through my spiel?
No, you don't. You are granted party status. And you will be given an opportunity as a party to present what you want later in the proceeding. Okay?
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Come forward.
Hi, my name is Patricia Holsizer, Hulsizer. I live at 2085 Johnston Avenue, Bethlehem, PA 18015, and that's Steel City.
All right.
I
Any
have
objection?
no objection.
All right. Ma'am, do you have the form?
Sorry.
That's all right. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. And so if I didn't say it for the record, Ms. Hulsizer will be granted party status. We have any other requests?
My name is John J. Holsizer. I live at 2085 Johnston Avenue, Bethlehem, PA, Steel City.
Okay, and so you reside with the prior party, correct?
Yes.
With Patricia. Okay. Any objection?
No objection.
All right, John, you are granted party status. Thank you for filling out the form.
I'm Christine Gurrow. I need to read from my paper.
Okay. Come on up and I'll try to pull that out for you, Christine.
Christine,
Go ahead. Yep. State your name and then your address.
Christine Gurrow, 2188 Silver Creek Road, Hellertown. I'm here not because of where I live and my relation to the landfill. I'm here because I use the DNL very regularly. My husband and I bike the DNL trail in the area across from the river from the landfill several times a week, from March to November, less from December to February.
It will be a very sad day when I ride the bike from Freemansburg to the Forks of the Delaware and have to pass the garbage dump like the active one now on Apple Butter Road, or have to see a bunch of dead fish floating in the river. So much has been done to connect these beautiful rail trails throughout the Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, and U.S. Who would want to ride the trail by a smelly eyesore full of garbage and vultures? I've been at homes on Ringhofer Drive where the large black vultures and crows make you feel like you're in the Birds movie. Those particular birds make such a cacophony with the trucks grinding around the garbage and the unusual stink of the landfill. When it comes to the other side of the mountain, I'd have to go to other trails. The wildlife will no longer be the same, the habitat gone. The last thing we need is more garbage. Our local roads and highways are a disgrace. To have this happen on a 9/11 trail in the DNL National Heritage Corridor, a special scenic area, I have to do what I can to protect it. I'm concerned that we'll no longer see the herons, eagles, orioles, and ospreys that we currently enjoy watching. This landfill expansion will cause me and is causing me emotional pain and anxiety.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So how far do you think you reside from? I know you said that it's not, the request is not based on where you reside, right?
Right.
It's based on your use. But
Right.
just so we have it in the record, how far do you reside from?
5 miles.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right, any questions of Ms. Gurrow?
I don't have any questions. I would object to Ms. Gurrow's status as a party in this proceeding.
Okay. Any other questions of Ms. Gurrow? All right. Based on the testimony, I am going to deny your request, Ms. Gurrow, but you will still have an opportunity to present public comment, okay?
I'll be back.
All right, let me get that form from you. Thank you. 'Yes, sir. Can you state your name and address?
Mark Ozimek, 2589 Reddington Road, Hellertown.
Is he within the stipulated area?
He is, so we have no objection to Mr. Ozimek's status as a party in this proceeding.
Okay. You have a form for me so that I can get your information?
Yes, I do. Can
Great.
I make one statement to you right now?
You can't make a statement unless it goes towards your standing issue.
We've already noted that there's no objection to the standing of this
Right.
gentleman.
Yeah, you're being granted party status, so anything you say might result in you not having party status. So I would recommend that you just hand me your form, and then you go ahead and make your statement. Yeah, you're gonna be given an opportunity. It's just not the procedural time to make statements, okay? It Ozimek. Yes, sir. Come forward.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Ronnie Augustino. That's RONNIE AUGUSTINO. I live at 2050 Riverside Drive, Bethlehem, PA 18015, which is Steel City.
Okay. Any objection?
No objection.
All right, Mr. Augustino, you will be granted party status. I'm going to ask that you supply your application unless you already did so.
No, I will in a minute.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, you're filling it out?
Yeah, I just need to sign it back.
Very good. All right. Yeah, please remember to bring that up. Thank you. Okay, do we have any other requests? Yes, sir.
Good morning, Counselor. Anthony Giovanini from the Office of Brockland DeVito. I was here Monday on behalf of Bethlehem Township. My office also represents the borough of Freemansburg. I am here today on their behalf as well to seek party status. If I may hand you their application.
Okay. And I am going to need you to orient me with respect to where Freemansburg is in relation to the applicant's property.
As indicated on Monday, the DNL trail runs through property owned by the city of Easton, westward through Bethlehem Township. Continuing westward along the Lehigh River begins Freemansburg Borough's portion of the DNL trail owned by them, starting with the following Northampton County parcel IDs. The first being N7 SW3B 11-1. And I do want to, maybe it is loading, that parcel is along the river and not within the internal confines of the borough. And that's more accurate. So that is the first parcel owned by Freemansburg Borough. Contiguous to that is N7 SW3C-30-1. And the third contiguous parcel is P7-3-2. Again, moving westwardly along the Lehigh.
Is this an exhibit that we can get marked that identifies, is it 3 parcels?
It is.
That's something that we can get marked that identifies the parcels?
And I also have similar Northampton County GIS tax maps outlining these parcels.
Can I get a copy of those?
Absolutely. If you'll note, the first one was the first one mentioned, as well second and third.
Do you want to mark this as an exhibit?
If it's more convenient, yes.
I think that would be
F,
appropriate.
I don't know if F.
How about Freemansburg number 1, and that exhibit contains all of the tax maps?
Correct.
So the first one I'm looking at seems to indicate Freeman Island is part of Freemansburg Borough. Is that right?
I believe that is owned by a nature conservancy. That is the island free-floating in the river there. The first parcel in question is contiguous with Bethlehem Township's parcel. And Bethlehem Township's parcel is N7-9-1.
All right. So let's start with the parcel that's closest to the applicant's property.
And which one of that, is that on Freemansburg 1?
Yes, that would be the first page of Freemansburg 1, N7 SW3B 11-1.
Just based on the hearing officer's question, is it each thing that's marked with the number 1 on Freemansburg 1?
If you'll note, there is a blue outline identifying the subject property.
So it's the 2.44 acre parcel?
Correct.
Okay.
So it appears that tax parcel actually goes below what's depicted on this page. Is that accurate?
That is accurate, and the depiction of this page is up on the screen here for
All right.
convenience. So we can pan southwesterly to the next parcel.
All right. And Mr. Young, is there a way that you can pan out so I can see where the limits of the landfill property are? So this parcel here, it looks like it goes all the way down to the, let me just get up and point it out.
That is correct, and that would start the next parcel owned by Freemansburg Borough.
And the proposed expansion is off of this, right, over here somewhere? This is the existing landfill. This is the small portion to the west, correct?
Do you own other parcels that are even farther to the west of that?
The landfill owns parcels to the west of that. They're not zoned for a landfill use. And actually those parcels, as proposed in the conditional use plan set, are proposed for conservation easements.
They're part of the application, but they're being specifically proposed to be restricted.
Correct. As well as this land right up here.
All right, so let's at least get this down. This is from, which tax map parcel number was that measure from? Do you know, Mr. Bonini?
That is N7 SW3C 31-30-1.
Okay, and why don't you tell us what is on each of these properties?
Sure. Like Bethlehem Township, the DNL trail runs through these parcels owned by the municipalities, in this case Freemansburg Borough. Specific to Freemansburg Borough is also a portion of the Lehigh Canal as a historic area taken care of by not only the DNL Heritage Corridor organization, but the Borough of Freemansburg. There are a number of historic buildings, and it is a deemed historic area by the borough standards. The concern of the borough, like that of Bethlehem Township, is the DNL trail and the impact of the proposed expansion on the DNL trail. Specifically, environmental concerns, odor, water table issues, leachate, specific to the north-facing slope, going down to the river, and affecting the DNL trail.
Did you say that the issues or the concerns are with respect to the north-facing slope, which is the area off of this map, correct?
Right, correct, as it could affect the river and impact the trail, especially going down the river, downstream into the borough of Freemansburg and their portion of the DNL trail.
So your concern is about the quality of the water, not
environmental issues as a whole.
But in terms of the location, the properties are over here.
Specific to the North Slope expansion, given the size of that expansion and the possibility of effects on the borough of Freemansburg.
And you understand that the applicant is proposing some disturbance on the left side of what currently exists as the landfill. In other words, the
Again,
western side.
Yes, and that portion of the expansion, we are concerned with effects to the borough properties as well.
What are the effects that you're concerned about with respect to that portion of the proposed expansion?
Again, I want to reiterate the various environmental issues with, albeit odor and the effects on water table, leachates, wind direction.
Are there odors coming from existing Bethlehem landfill that are impacting the borough's properties that you've identified in your testimony?
I do not have any information to that respect.
So no evidence that you're currently experiencing any odor impact on those properties?
I don't live in, or other than attending municipal meetings, experience any odors.
No, I'm asking about as the borough itself, as the owner of those properties, I'm asking whether there are any odor impacts from the existing Bethlehem landfill to those 3 properties.
I can't respond to that. But I do want to note that the Pennsylvania Supreme Court has held that a political subdivision, which the borough of Freemansburg Borough has a substantial, direct, and immediate interest in protecting the environment and quality of life within its borders. I believe I did cite that case.
That's the Robinson case.
That is the Robinson case, yes.
All right. Mr. Young, I don't know if there's a way to do this for me, but I think I know where 2 of the properties are. I'm a little bit unclear as to where the 3rd one is. Is there a way for you to just...
I believe the .87 is the closest property to it.
Okay, I appreciate that. So, yeah,
This is
Mr.
parcel
Giovanni...
number 2, parcel number 3 is gonna begin down here.
All right, can you run through them again? Just go parcel number 1, parcel number 2, parcel number 3, and then while you're doing that, if you can advise me for the record as to what's contained on each parcel.
Certainly. Parcel number 1 is identified as Northampton County parcel ID number N7SW3B-11-1.
And so that appears as if, Mr. Young, did you have that one highlighted?
Contiguous to the south.
And that's it.
What's on?
If I may add, that is directly across from the Saucon Creek where the leachate is discharged from the sewer treatment plant. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Along with other industrial discharges, correct?
None that I'm aware of.
Just to be clear, the POTW that's located where Mr. Ostek referenced, that's a publicly owned treatment works that accepts wastewater from various sources. It's not just the leachate from the Bethlehem landfill.
Well, the Bethlehem landfill is the largest provider of point source leachate. Clearly.
All right, okay. So what is on there? Is a trail on that
The
particular?
DNL trail runs through that, yes.
All right.
Leachate shoots out right into.
Okay,
the treatment plant.
can you please have Mr. Ostek
And then
stop
to the
testifying for the
south-
witness?
Yeah, let's not give any testimony. So to the south of that,
To the south,
Is-
contiguous is parcel number 2, which is identified as Northampton County parcel ID number N7SW3C-30-1.
all right. And so that has a continuation of the trail, correct?
That is a continuation of the DNL trail.
And
And
Mr. Young,
also-
that one, the limits of that are a little bit farther out than the .87 that you measured.
That was the one.
Oh, that is the one. So the second one is the one that's the closest, okay? And then let's go to the 3rd one.
The 3rd parcel owned by Freemansburg Borough is identified as Northampton County parcel ID P7-3-2. Contained within that parcel is continuation of the DNL trail.
Is that adjacent to parcel number 2? Do those
That-
connect?
That is contiguous,
All right,
yes.
so these 3 are in line all along the river.
Yes, and the borough's property ends at the end of parcel number 3, and that is where the city of Bethlehem takes over.
Okay.
Just for perspective.
Okay. Any other questions?
Is this visual that we've been working with going to be marked in any way as an exhibit?
So we have the application, and on the application is Freemansburg 1. I've got evidence of measurement, the closest measurement from the property that's in the conditional use application that is proposed to be used for purposes of a landfill, and I'm using the exterior edge of that parcel to the closest point on one of these three parcels is 0.87 miles based on the zoning officer's measurement. But other than that, I don't think we're going to have an exhibit.
Can we have I'd like to mark an additional BLC exhibit,
Sure.
a Google Earth image. We're gonna just plug in here for a minute. I think we're on BLC 51.
Okay.
Just for the record, to note the orientation of the three parcels identified that are owned by Freemansburg, and perhaps we can just identify the one that's closest. And I'd like to just have a visual depiction of that, and perhaps a measurement to the other area of the expansion, which is over the north slope, for the record. So, Ms. March, if you could put in the first measurement that Mr. Young had on his exhibit, which I think was property line to property line from the closest point to the west. Rather than having Ms. March find the measurement that we already have on the record, the 0.87, that will stand alone and speak for itself. I'm going to ask for BLC 51 to show the general distance from that area to the part of the expansion that is to the north of the existing Bethlehem landfill. Okay, I just want this marked. It's 1.48 miles. For the record, I just really want to document this, that the majority of the expansion is at this location vis-a-vis the Freemansburg Borough parcels. But no questions for you on that. I just wanted the record to be clear.
And can you supply me with a measurement that goes from the closest area of these three properties to the limit of any property that's part of the conditional use application?
And that would be the limit of the western disposal area.
Well, my understanding was there are other parcels involved in the application that are not necessarily going to be disturbed with respect to landfill use, but are part of the application because they're being used for other purposes. They're owned by the landfill, correct?
There are parcels to the west that are owned by the landfill that are not part of this application, that are not part of the landfill
And they're
use,
not part of
and
the
that are not
application.
part of this project, correct?
Okay, all right. So that one that has the depiction of the orange rectangle.
Correct, that
that's
is the
farthest-
western limit of the landfill parcel that will have any landfill activity on it. And that's the limit of any property that's part of this
That's
application.
part of the actual application. All right. All right, that clears that up. Okay, any additional?
If I might point out, I think since Steel City has been by stipulation included in the coverage area, the only thing that separates Steel City from the trail is the river.
Yeah, I understand.
That's correct.
Yeah, no, I appreciate all of you orienting me because I'm not as familiar maybe as you all are with respect to the geographics of this, but I did understand that. Okay, is there any other argument?
I just want to reiterate the Robinson case in the standing that is bestowed upon political subdivisions. And in this case, the property line of Freemansburg Borough is at the points indicated here along the Lehigh River. And the concern remains the effects of the landfill expansion onto the borough property, specifically those D&L trail portions.
Right. And does Freemansburg Borough have any specific maintenance responsibilities to the trail in that area? Do they?
They do, just like Bethlehem Township and the city of Easton. And what is unique about Freemansburg, unlike Bethlehem, and more in line with the city of Easton, is the canal, the historic areas. There's buildings there that date back many, many years, and there is an obligation on the borough to steward those areas. And there is concern with respect to those areas and any effects that the landfill could have on them.
Okay. Any other argument, Ms. Garber?
I would just note that there's been no evidence that those properties are being impacted by the existing Conestoga, or Bethlehem Landfill, excuse me, by the existing Bethlehem Landfill, and the majority of the proposed expansion is further than the existing Bethlehem Landfill. So while I can appreciate that there's a statement about concerns, that there's no evidence other than speculation that there will be any impact to these properties because they're not currently experiencing an impact.
May I seek a point of clarification? And I apologize, I did have to leave Monday following the initial session, but what is the actual range that was inclusive of, the Steel City residents, and what is the range of?
With respect to the stipulation?
Yes,
So
the
the stipulation doesn't have a specific range with
Okay.
respect to Steel City.
Okay.
It was just agreed that any resident within Steel City
Okay.
would be automatically given party status.
Okay.
Then there were measurements also going out in other directions from the proposed newly disturbed area for the landfill, and I believe that was a half a mile out from
And it was from disposal area.
disposal area, excuse me, from the newly proposed disposal area. So a half mile out from the newly proposed disposal area. So the borough is not going to be within a half mile. And you did a half mile out from that rectangular piece as well. That would not get us
We
to, because
did,
we're at
correct.
Just a point of
0.87.
clarification, there were no properties inclusive from the westernmost portion of parcels of the landfill that are part of the conditional use application.
I'm not sure I understood that. And what
So
we.
there's areas that are contained within the conditional use application that I believe it was indicated that won't be disturbance areas, but they are part of that application.
But the westernmost parcel in the application is the one that is this rectangular area that will have landfill disturbance, correct?
Correct.
So that's what we measured from.
Can we get?
Let's pull up that exhibit, which
I would
is,
like to see what that measurement is.
And we got that measurement. Mr. Young made
Can-
that
can that-
measurement.
And I apologize, I did not.
So
catch
it's,
what the actual
it's
dimensions were.
0.87 miles.
Okay.
But we'll bring that back up and show you where the measurement took place from and to.
I think it's actually further to the east in terms of the point that you're measuring from. Yep, more to the east. Yeah, that's not the edge of the parcel, that's the subject of the application. If we pull out the conditional use plan set, we can see which property we're talking about. May I approach Mr. McNair?
What, if you have a tax map parcel number, then he can use it. He can use the tax map parcel number to identify it. I think that's the best way to
Yes,
address
give
it.
me one moment. I need to find the number in the application. I don't know it off the top of my head. Excuse me.
Yes.
If I may interject for a second, I think we're counting the angels on the head of a pin here when we're talking distance. Article 1, Section 27 of the Constitution, the environmental rights provision of the Constitution, I believe grants municipalities the public trust obligation to protect the environment within its jurisdiction. I think the mere allegation of ownership and responsibility for a public recreation facility just a river's width away from areas that have been granted standing falls within your obligation to grant this borough a seat at the table here.
Yeah, I understand.
So
I understand
let's
the
not
argument.
hung up on this.
I think we're just trying to
Look,
make the
I'm
record
trying,
clear.
yeah, I need the record to be perfectly clear on this in case there's an appellate issue. So I need to know so that any court, whether it be trial court or thereafter, understands what the distance is, because they're not going to be taking any additional measurements, information. And proximity is going to be one of the factors that they're going to look at. So the record has to be clear on that issue.
I get it, but let's not get hung up on that other than to make that record, because I believe I think the Constitution obligates the borough.
We've heard the argument, and let's make the record so we can move on. So I think that Mr. Young has now identified the westernmost property line of the landfill property upon which this project that is the subject of this conditional use application is proposed. Mr. Young, is that noted on the screen here? Okay. And that measurement is what, Mr. Young?
0.92.
So the record is clear.
Okay. So the 0.87, we're going to change to 0.92. And Mr. Young, you're satisfied that the points are on the property edge for both the properties, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Anything else? I know, I think I interrupted you, but if there's nothing else, I can certainly
I
make...
do want to note the borough's concern with the total leachate that is being taken in directly across from their own properties and the environmental impacts that could have on them. I do want to note that for the record.
Okay. All right, based on the evidence that I have received, I am going to grant party status to Freemansburg Borough.
Thank you.
Any other requests for party status at this time? I still have a number of applications that were filled out. But is there anyone else in the room?
Still city part, and you're now taking just general ones for people who are not.
Oh, right, that's correct. Any application at this point, please come forward. If you're requesting party status, please come forward to the microphone.
You have a stack of applications for standing?
There's more, yeah. Yes, I do. I
People
still
who
have...
are not here today, I presume.
Yes, it appears there are going to be quite a few that were here Monday.
See if those people are here before.
Well, why don't you come forward, because you're going to request party status, correct? All right. I want to address anyone who's physically present first. So please, if you're in the room and you wish to request party status, I'm going to ask that you come forward to the microphone. Sir, you are in line. I'm going to take your information. What's your name?
My name is Albert Worth, and I did not give you my form. It's still here in my hand, okay?
Okay, what's your
I will
address?
give it to you when I leave. I live at 525 6th Avenue in Bethlehem.
Sorry, what was your name?
Albert Worth, W-U-R-T-H.
Okay,
And I'm hoping to request party status. I base that on a number of factors, but the first one, and the most important one perhaps, is that I am a regular user of the D&L Trail. I live in Bethlehem. I'm a 40-year bike commuter, and I do a lot of bike riding on the trail. I go in both directions, of course, so I don't go there every day or anything. But I do ride downstream very often because if you ride upstream, there's some beautiful spots, but there's also the railroad yard and other things on the way toward Allentown. This is a beautiful recreational opportunity, and that's why the corridor exists. I also float and canoe and kayak on the Lehigh River. I can still remember going with one of my old friends who was a naturalist working for the DEP, and he said, you know, he would hear bird calls and identify the bird for me, and I still remember that from the very first times that I actually floated on the river. The recreation area is unique and appreciated by dozens of people, hundreds of people probably every day at least, and all along the way, and there are, as you've already heard, lots of other floating and other activities there. I am actively part of both of those, and I feel like my experience has already been altered by the landfill. When I ride downstream, I stop at Freemansburg if I come around the corner and the wind's blowing the wrong way and I can smell the landfill. I also, of course, want to talk about the recreational experience and the beauty of it, the aesthetic experience of seeing. In fact, I never seen the landfill in operation from where I ride, but I can smell it and I can hear it. And the first time I heard it, I realized that it was the machinery and equipment and trucks over there that I was hearing, and it does mar the entire experience of the ride. I also, so basically I'm a user of the trail and enjoy the experience and value the current state of the experience, and I don't think anybody can argue that adding a landfill and tearing down the woods alongside that would in some way improve that experience. So I feel like I'm definitely harmed by the operation of the landfill. I also want to seek party status for a reason that I haven't heard yet, but I think is critically important. And that's because I'm a citizen of Bethlehem. Now that's a bit disingenuous because Bethlehem is the original builder and owner of the landfill, and it was strategically located by Bethlehem to be downstream and downwind from the people who lived in Bethlehem, right? And poor Lower Saukon Township was the place for it. And so Bethlehem is sort of implicated in this. I have not seen my city represented here at this hearing seeking party status, and I'm rather disappointed about that. I'm hoping that they still might try to achieve that.
Didn't we have a request from Bethlehem? No.
There's the
Bethlehem
city of
Township.
Bethlehem and there's a Bethlehem Township.
Just Bethlehem Township.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah. And the city of Bethlehem was the former owner of the landfill. They're the ones that did the notorious...
Mr. McNair, I can appreciate Mr. Worth's long history with this site. I'm actually a little bit familiar. I don't know if you remember me.
I want to talk about the current issues Bethlehem presents.
If we could
Wait,
stick
we
to
can't. You've got to stick to your individual effects, not you as a citizen of a city,
No,
but the individual effects
but the
on you
individual effect-
personally.
maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't understand the law. But as a city citizen, I am a co-owner, or at least a co-ratepayer, for the Bethlehem Water Authority, which runs the POTW that the council over here mentioned, the wastewater treatment plant, which is upstream even of the landfill, as you know. And And Bethlehem is also the people who made the agreement and the sale of the landfill. So I believe Bethlehem as a city, and I as a taxpayer, am implicated in anything that this landfill does, even though Bethlehem is
Right.
no longer,
But
isn't that correct?
That is not what the law allows for with respect to party status. You have to establish how you're individually affected.
So even if I am affected by the risk that Bethlehem incurs by running the plant that is caused by the leachate treatment, is that right?
You can state that.
What?
Yes, you can state that issue.
Yes, I am
Yes.
definitely affected by that, as all are my fellow citizens. I am personally affected in a unique way by traveling and use of the trail, and my interest in preserving it will obviously be harmed because it won't be preserved in the way that I have experienced it in the time either floating or biking. But the city's original sort of, I mean, I was around when the transformers were all taken out right before it was
Let's try to stick to this application
Yeah,
and
well,
how.
that's what I'm trying to say. So the risks that Bethlehem has residual from being the previous owner, plus the risk that Bethlehem is taking on by continuing to treat leachate for this facility, grows and affects me more likely as a citizen from the continuing and expanding operation of the landfill. That's that's the only point I really want to make.
I understand the point.
Okay, and I assume you're going to tell me to go away, but I don't, I don't think that this is the way that we want to proceed in terms of understanding the real impact of this. I mean, well.
All right. What I'm trying to do, though, is listen to what everyone is saying with
I
respect to
understand.
how
I
they are
appreciate- I
individually
appreciate your
impacted and
sincerity.
affected, right? And then I'm trying to take that and I'm trying to apply it to the law from our appellate courts.
Yes,
All
that's
right?
fine. I understand that.
All right.
But again, I feel like I'm on the hook for this landfill because of Bethlehem's history and because they will be actually, if the leachate clogs up the sewage treatment plant, the landfill may pay something if we sue them, but the rest of us are going to pay,
Right.
because we're citizens, because we are stuck with the legacy
Right,
of the
right.
previous mayors, and because we're stuck with being the ones responsible for what gets discharged into the Lehigh River. Okay?
Right.
That's my point.
Okay. All right. I appreciate that. All right. Any questions of Mr. Worth?
I don't have any questions, but based on the testimony, I would object to Mr. Worth's status as a party in this proceeding.
All right. And Mr. Worth, I don't believe you identified or stated how far your residence is from the proposed project.
I live in West Bethlehem in Lehigh County, so I'm on 6th Avenue,
Mhm.
which is,
A
my address is
significant
on the
distance.
thing. But,
Can you
direct
estimate it's more than 5 miles away?
I don't know, it could be.
Or is it more than 3 miles away?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
5 miles is borderline, at most.
I certainly appreciate your concerns, and I appreciate you raising the unique concern with respect to the city of Bethlehem and the water issues. But I am going to deny party status. You do have the opportunity still to make public comment at the end of the proceeding, okay?
So, what does someone who has these concerns do if they can't have parties?
Well, there are a number of people who have party status, and there are a number of attorneys
I
involved.
know, but they don't represent the Bethlehem sewage treatment plant, right?
Right.
And neither
So
does my city.
they have the opportunity to
know.
come and request party status.
The deal's with them partly, as you know.
Mhm.
So we feel like we're kind of caught in a loop, in a trap, so we can't. get
Right.
out. Yeah.
Okay.
I can't have party status.
Right, that your individual
I
party
feel?
status is denied.
How
If
do-
you can
how do I
encourage
appeal my
the
party
city
status?
to request party status, I will entertain it. But I can't seek individuals or entities to come in and request it. So I need your application.
Yeah.
Anyone else in the room who is seeking party status today? All right, for the record, it does not appear that there's anyone else physically present who's requesting party status. I still have a number of applications that were filled out and submitted on Monday, and I would say there's approximately 15 of those. So it is my intent at future hearings to allow anyone who's filled out an application to come forward and request party status based on that, them filling out an application. I understand that many of them had to go to work and could not be here, but I will entertain party status requests from these individuals at future hearings based on them submitting these forms on Monday of this week. Is there any objection to that?
No, thank you. We would, thank you. We'd like an opportunity to identify those individuals, to contact them to see if they're still interested, if you don't mind.
Sure, I can supply, you can come up and write down the names
Yeah,
and
that's what we'd like to
addresses,
do.
that's fine.
Yeah, that's all we'd like to do.
Okay.
Should we read those names into
Yeah.
the record?
Yeah, why don't we do that? And this first one, might be in the wrong pile. I thought we had a request from McKellen, Robert McKellen?
Yes.
He was
Yes.
here.
That was me.
Like he and his wife.
You were here,
They're
okay.
not.
All right, that one, and, I have a couple of, repeat requests, so, this may flesh that out.
I only did one.
You only did one? Okay.
You took it on Monday. Did you get to do it again, Bob? I said when I got it.
George Kramer. Is George Kramer present? No, George Kramer, 2150 Wasser Gas Road, Hellertown. And Noel Kramer, 2150 Wasser Gas Road, Hellertown. Monica Willard, 1809 Meadow Ridge Court, Bethlehem.
Could you repeat that?
What was the last name again?
Monica Willard. And address 1809 Meadow Ridge Court, Bethlehem. David Willard, 1809 Meadow Ridge Court, Bethlehem. Laura Ray, R-A-Y, 3357 Lower Saucon Road, Hellertown. Fred Miller, 1727 Elm Street, Bethlehem. Benjamin, I believe it is Felzer, F-E-L-Z-E-R. The handwriting's a little difficult to read. 3342 Fox Drive, Bethlehem.
I know some of those people, I just need to remind them that they need to get back in touch with you.
They will need to make a formal request for party status, yes.
So, is that paper or?
They have to come in and give us,
For the next hearing?
it would be preferable that, yes, at the next hearing, yes. Rebecca Braisted, B-R-A-I-S-T-E-D, 4807 Rafi, R-A-F-I Road, Easton. Ralph and Maura Padfield, 3855 Wilson Road, Wilson Avenue, Bethlehem. Rochelle and Kevin Fody, 2421 Wasser Gas Road, Hellertown. Victoria M. Smith, 2385 Wasser Gas Road, Hellertown. Yes, yes. Oh, you are here.
You denied my neighbor's party status, so I'm just gonna wait for the, regular.
For a public comment? Okay, so I am gonna mark your application as withdrawn then, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Diane French, 1640 Rambling Rose Court, Bethlehem. Tara Zarinsky, 4715 Harriet Lane, Bethlehem. David and Dina Yost, 2129 Saucon Avenue, Bethlehem. Okay. All right. Yeah, so it's likely that she will, both of them, David and Dina, would be granted party status, but they do still need to make the formal request.
Okay.
Paul Tucker, 2212 Williams Church Road, Hellertown. All right, and he has listed out the Saucon Creek Watershed Association. So did he only request party status on behalf of the Saucon Creek Watershed Association? What's your name?
That is like perfect timing.
We're going to get to you in just a minute then, Ms. Zarinsky, okay? Sure. Does anyone, I can run back through my notes to try to find Mr. Tucker.
We just had on our notes that he was granted party status on behalf of the Watershed Association.
And that's my recollection as well, that he did not request individual party status, but only on behalf of the organization. And the application lists organization when applicable, and he has listed out Saucon Creek Watershed Association. So
I wouldn't have a problem reserving his right to seek party status on an individual basis at the next hearing if
Okay.
we're unclear on whether he asked for individual party status and whether there was a ruling on that.
Okay.
He's likely to reappear anyway for his testimony, so you can ask him that.
And the last one I have is Johanna Brams, Brams, 1727 Elm Street, Bethlehem. All right, and now we're going to return to Tara Zarinsky. And your address is 4715 Harriet Lane, Bethlehem, is that right? Are you seeking individual party status or on behalf of an entity?
I'm seeking individual and on behalf of the Energy, Environment, and Land Use Committee of Northampton County.
So,
So I'm seeking individual party status as well as collective party status for the Energy, Environment, and Land Use Committee for Northampton County, of which I am the chair.
Mr. McNair, before we get into the testimony on this, I guess I'm not certain, or I would be interested in whether that committee is an entity that exists. How do I put this? I mean, is it a committee that is an entity that could be a party in a proceeding?
well, shoot, I'm going to allow her to tell us that.
Sure.
Well, first, I want to address your individual request for party status, and then we're going to get to the Northampton County Energy, Environmental, and Land Use Committee. Okay? So you live at 4715 Harriet Lane, right?
Yes.
And where is that in relation to the applicant's property?
I live in Hanover Township, but as an individual, I am a county commissioner for Northampton County. I
Okay.
sit on the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission as a member. I've also been a part of the Energy, Environment, and Land Use Committee as chair for the past 6 years. In addition to that, on the
So that's a
Lehigh Valley,
municipal committee.
that is a county committee.
That's a county committee.
And the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission is a regional commission. I'm also on the Solid Waste Advisory Council for Northampton County as well.
Okay. I first need to figure out whether or not you would be granted party status, though, individually,
Mhm.
as just a resident.
As a resident, I think my position as county commissioner,
Nope, that's not what I'm asking.
okay.
Okay, it has nothing.
resident,
This has to do with how you would be impacted as an individual
Oh,
or
okay.
affected as an individual, based on proximity, based on other issues, but not based on your position with some
Correct.
organization.
Okay, so personally, I would be somebody who is an outdoors person. I use the trails. I understand the Lehigh Valley, because I lived along the Lehigh Valley. I lived along the Lehigh River when, throughout my childhood, I visited a lot, and that is a place that is very special to me. So along these trails are some of the best running paths, best walking paths, best recreation. And I think that as an individual, not necessarily living in proximity to them, but somebody who partakes in the recreation of those areas, that I would be individually impacted.
Okay. Anything else based on individual status?
No.
All right. Any questions?
No.
No questions. I would
Where,
object.
hang on. Where, I don't know where this your property is in relation to the applicant's parcel. How many miles away?
I would think about 6 or 7.
Okay.
Maybe we can put it into one of these programs if you give us your property address.
Well, is it greater than 5 miles?
It is, well, 6 is greater than 5, so yes, yeah.
I'm
Yes,
just trying to
I
get an
know,
agreement,
yeah.
because you said, well, maybe 6 or 7. I want to have it defined that it's at least
Sure,
5
it's-
miles away.
It's at least 5, yeah.
Okay. All right. No, based on your request for individual party status, I'm going to deny that request, but we are going to entertain your request for party status related to the Northampton County Energy, Environment, and Land Use Committee. So can you tell us, again, that's a county committee, you said, correct?
Yes, it is.
Can you tell us how it was formed, what your position is on it, and then a little bit more about the committee and what it does?
Sure. I was elected to Northampton County Council in 2017. My commission started in 2018. At that time, I was appointed the chair of the Northampton County Energy, Environment, and Land Use Committee, and I have been the chair for the past 6 years. I have been somebody who has listened and advocated for environmental rights, individual rights, property rights, and land conservation and preservation. Through that commission, I am also a member of the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission. I've been a member of the conservation districts, and also part.
Just so we're clear, though, you're not requesting party status on behalf of any of those other
But they fall
organizations.
under the framework of the Energy, Environment,
Right.
and Land Use Commission.
But I need to have the record clear as to
That
what
committee was established through the Northampton County Charter.
you're only requesting party status, though, with respect to this Northampton County Energy, Environment, and Land Use Committee, right? And not one of these other committees or commissions that you are a member of, right?
Right.
Okay. All right, so tell us a little bit more about how there would be an effect or impact on that particular committee, the Northampton County Energy, Environment, and Land Use Committee.
The Energy, Environment, and Land Use Committee is one in which we hear the public concerning issues of not only preservation, conservation, but also recreational use. So parks, recreation, and open space preservation fall under that committee's purview. We listen to requests for development, requests for grants, requests for conservation easements and things like that. And so when I heard about the landfill expanding, we had several presentations on that landfill expansion, And it has come to my attention that there is a conservation easement on that property that would be potentially impacted. We also deal with water quality issues on the Energy, Environment, and Land Use Committee, and it is my understanding that the Lehigh River would be adversely impacted as well. We also deal on that committee with helping to secure funds and pay for recreational areas such as the trail system. And the amount of money that Northampton County has invested in, and I don't have the exact number, is thousands and thousands of dollars.
I'm just going to interject here because I think the testimony is now discussing Northampton County and Northampton County's investment, and I think that the request is for the standing of this particular committee. So if we could limit the testimony to that, I think that would be more appropriate.
It's the Northampton County Energy, Environment, and Land Use Committee.
Right.
So it is
It's
Northampton County.
It's a committee of the county, right? And so are they funded by the county? Is that committee
Yes.
funded by the county?
I mean, the committee.
Or do you have any funding for the some committees don't have any funding?
We don't necessarily have funding. I
Right.
mean, my position is funded. We vote for the funding.
So it's an advisory committee, correct? Meaning you make recommendations.
We don't just make recommendations, we put things into action. We vote on whether or not funding is going to be implemented. We vote on different projects. We voted on trail systems to be implemented here. We vote on whether or not riparian buffers money will be spent on riparian buffers
Okay.
to keep that area environmentally sound.
And then your vote, does that get reviewed by anyone else, or is the activity then just implemented based on the vote of the committee?
So those votes then go up to the full
County.
council.
Okay,
of
so
which
the
I am
county
a member as
council
well.
is the one that makes the ultimate vote. So so you don't consider yourself an advisory committee to the county council?
I am a
You are
commissioner
also.
too. Yeah, I am a commissioner.
I'm trying to.
If I can assist.
She's not asking for party status related to Northampton County. Okay, that's the distinction. So what we need to make clear is what this committee is and what it does. So the committee, it has discretion to address all sorts of issues associated with county energy, environment, and land use. And it makes decisions, and it deliberates, and it votes, and then its decision is then provided to the county council, correct?
Yes.
And it's ultimately the county council's vote that determines whether or not the funds are actually provided, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, tell me a little bit more about the committee.
The committee is composed of 5 members of council. We do send our recommendations up, and we participate in outside activities to ensure land preservation, conservation, recreational access. And so I also serve as liaison to Parks, Recreation, and Open Space. And from what I understand, this area, Northampton County has invested heavily in. And we have an investment in this, and therefore I believe that the Energy, Environment, and Land Use Committee, because we have been primarily the focal point and the funnel of all information to county council, should be granted party status so that we can continue that collaboration and that understanding of what is going to happen in the future with this particular parcel.
All right, do we have any questions?
Just a couple questions. Who authorized you to come here today to seek party status on behalf of this committee?
I am the chair of the committee, and I have come here of my own free will.
So the committee didn't vote,
The committee did not vote.
and the Northampton County Council did not vote or direct you to come here?
They did not.
Okay, I don't have any more questions. I would object to the granting of party status to this particular committee based on the testimony provided.
Is your objection based on lack of authority?
Well, the lack of authority, and because there is a lack of authority, I don't know that they're even the type of entity that could seek party status. So I'm not quite sure how to articulate it, but in addition, I suppose that there hasn't been any testimony as to a particular impact to this committee as a result of this project. There's been testimony about the types of things that this committee reviews in the context of development within the county, but there hasn't been any particular and specific impact that's been testified to by this witness with respect to the committee.
All right. I'm a little bit concerned that you don't have a board vote on whether or not you can be here to request party status, because you're here, you just stated you're here as an individual. I understand you're the chair.
Because of when this fell, we were not able to get a resolution to a
Okay.
committee meeting. Like,
Right.
we're
Well,
trying.
you're allowed to have a special meeting though within 24 hours. So I'm not inclined to grant party status when you don't have authority for the committee to be here to request it. That's not to say I won't entertain it again if you were to obtain that. But the issues that have been brought up today, they need to be addressed. And I think based on the situation that your committee is in with respect to not voting yet on whether or not the entire committee wants party status, I'm going to deny it for now, okay?
Do I understand that if she secures the appropriate approvals that may allow her, she can reapply?
I'll reconsider it.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, do we have anyone else in the room who's requesting party status?
Laura Ray, whose name you had identified earlier, she's here now.
Okay, we're going to take a 2-minute break, okay?
I have a question. Kind of. Yeah, I'll casually. I have one before. Fell down. The other one wasn't. This one. I just want to know if I can. If you can't do it, you can't do it.
I agree with that. Yes, but that's one of the questions the experts will go into about what.
Well, I didn't have a full I got it.
Switch It's gonna go on the rest of the day, they're gonna start with the next one. So you're gonna start to get testing above and beyond the last. They get to ask questions. So, like, witness will test, yeah, they'll get to ask questions. Oh, yeah, they're here and they'll ask questions. And then the questions that are not part of the status. That's why you got part of the status.
That was my the worst will happen, and I don't. I don't want to.
My name is Torino. I live at 2533, which is next to Madison Farm. And I turned it it's an LLC.
No, it's an LLC. It is a real money. I appreciate
This day that you became a part of it, there are people there begging, and once you don't like
All right, let's take our seats. We're gonna try to just address a couple other things, and then we'll take a lunch break. Ma'am, are you requesting party status?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, you came up and got your form from me.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's the lady who took the vulture pictures that we were trying to show earlier.
My pets.
Are you training them too?
No.
Training the vultures to eat the dogs?
All right. Okay, let's get your name for the record and your address.
My name is Laura Ray. I'm 3357 Lower Saucon Road, Hellertown.
And where is your property in relation to the landfill?
When I did my measurement without the map that you guys have, I came up with 3.8 miles.
Okay. All right, we'll have somebody take a look. Jim, if you can just take a look at where that property is located. All right, Ms. Ray, so you want to present to us how you feel you would be affected or impacted by this application?
Yes.
Go ahead.
All right, so I had noted several things on my application. First one is that I don't actually live right beside it, but I do regularly travel on Ringhofer Road and Apple Butter Road over to Shimersville Road. That's my normal path to go over to Bethlehem and any points north, so I travel it often. And I often smell the horrible odors from the landfill that linger in your car and leave a taste in your mouth when you drive by. The road is a hazardous one to travel on because it's very curvy, and then you have these large trash trucks that travel on them, and there's, you know, some pretty hairy curves. We just saw the report for the overage trucks, the overweight trucks that come in every month. So from past reports I've seen, there's 50, 60, 70 trucks a month that are overweight coming in. So in February,
I'm just going to object to any evidence that is being presented as fact in terms of numbers of overweight trucks or anything like that. If the concern is about traffic on Apple Butter Road, I think we can stick to that.
Okay. And your concern is traffic safety as well as the potential of overweight vehicles, right?
There are. That is coming from DEP reports, so not made up information. So when the road is wet, so I did bring a couple other pictures. When the road's wet and filthy, you drive your car down it, and even though you may have just had your car washed, it comes out filthy. So that I had a couple pictures showing that of a recent example. When I called in, it's probably hard to see, it's pretty bright in here, but I was told their street sweeper thing was broken for a couple weeks, so they weren't having the road cleaned very well for a few weeks. So, you know, it's a regular thing that happens. Mud gets tracked out onto the road, and I know somebody else had said for private businesses, and when you have construction on your own site, if you drag mud out onto the road, you get fined.
I think we're now talking about what someone else said with respect to some other project. I'm going to ask you to please constrain the testimony.
What we're looking for is how you yourself individually.
Well, you drive down roads that are like that, and your car will come out like you just drove through a mud bath.
Right. So put it in the context of yourself.
I drive down road like that, and my car comes out looking like I went off-roading.
Okay.
So you have to wash your car again. Also, rocks on the road. I don't have a particular picture here, but I've had to swerve for rocks that, you know, they get lodged into the truck tires, and then they fall off as they drive. So it's a hazard. So next, I'll talk about the black vultures on my property. And I've had my property for about 19 years. It's a farm property, and only within, say, the past 5 to 6 years, these black vultures have now started showing up. So the first time I saw them, I had to Google to find out what they were, because I knew they're not turkey vultures. It was something new coming. So I have several pictures here showing, well, I need my glasses. So there they are out in my field by my tractor. If you want to keep scrolling, it's just go through them quick. So they're like, I have llamas and alpacas and chickens. So they come right up to the animals. They're not afraid. They're actually known to be kind of aggressive. So that's my barnyard. They hang out on the fence there. So I have to go back and forth through that every day, a couple times a day.
Okay.
We can get a couple more. I'm just showing here how they don't like fly away, and they're not little, and we do know that they carry pathogens. And that's from my office window. On the second floor. They come sit up on my porch roof. When they land on the roof, it scares you, because when you're downstairs, it sounds like somebody's upstairs walking around. They're loud. They're big. So I worry about the diseases that they carry and can spread to my animals, especially my chickens. I think I have one picture in there where they're actually walking around in there with my chickens. And then my final impact would be that I do go biking as well on the D&L trail, and the smell, the sound, and the sight of the landfill, when it develops even further, will be an impact on the trail that will diminish and degrade your enjoyability of biking.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions?
Just a couple. Did we establish the distance between Miss Ray's property and the existing landfill? So that's 3.98 miles? And
All
that's,
right. Let's just get that. So, Mr. Young, you did the measurement from the property limits of each property? Correct. All right, thank you very much.
that's the distance from Miss Ray's property to the current Bethlehem landfill or the proposed project? Okay, from existing Bethlehem landfill. And Ms. Ray, you said you've lived at your property for 19 years, is that correct?
I've owned this property for about 19 years.
How long have you lived there?
I don't recall, maybe 10-ish. But I go there every day. I'm there every day.
Okay. Did you say that the vultures on your property, I thought I heard you say that's something relatively new, is that correct?
Yes, they only started showing up, say, in the past 5-6 years.
Oh, okay. I don't have any more questions. I'm going to object to Ms. Ray's status as a party in this proceeding based on the testimony provided.
Okay. Ms. Ray, I am going to deny party status for you, but you will be given an opportunity to make public comment at the end, okay?
All right.
May we at least introduce into evidence her vulture pictures?
Sure.
Thank you.
So they will be...
Provide you with copies.
Okay. And how many exhibits are we introducing, Ms. Ray?
Eight photos.
Okay, eight photos. I'm going to call them collectively Ray 1, and it is a collection of 8 photos. All right, is there anyone else present who is requesting party status? For the record, I see no response. All right, we are going to take a lunch break in a few minutes, but I know council wanted to discuss scheduling issues. Do we want to try to address that now? Okay. All right, so we had discussed the potential of, well, let's discuss one scheduling issue that we have related to today first. And that is the fire department has an event tonight, and we need to be out of here around 3:30, the very latest 3:40. We're gonna try to finish at 3:30. We have to be out of the room at 3:45. Is that right? Okay, we have to be. So if we're at 3:30 and there's a couple questions left, we can bleed over a little bit, but we've got to be out of here by 4. So we're gonna be stopping around 3:30.
Can I suggest maybe before we break for lunch that we have a 5-minute conference on scheduling, because that may impact what happens for the rest of the day?
Okay.
Would that be okay?
Yep. Do you want to discuss other scheduling issues now, or should we have that conference and then deal with scheduling right after lunch?
I think the latter.
Okay. Then let's let everybody take their lunch break. We'll have this conference and then we'll discuss. Is that what you meant?
No, sorry.
No.
I'm wondering if we could have a very brief, less than 5-minute meeting that may impact the rest of the day. So I didn't want everybody to go to lunch if there's
Okay.
going to be a
All right.
decision that impacts the rest
All
of the
right.
day.
So you want to go off the record for 5 minutes right
Yes,
now?
please.
Okay,
Thank
everyone
you.
remain where you are. We're not taking a break quite yet.
Joe Bubba was supposed to show up this afternoon. Joe's in the
I just spent a week and a half with 12 more folks, so I could manage. 10 o'clock on the 10th, we're going to Wendy. Maybe late.
All right, if I can get everyone's attention, we just want to make some announcements regarding scheduling issues so everyone knows when the next meeting is and what our plans are a little bit thereafter. Okay, so for today's purposes, based on witnesses' availability, there won't be any testimony this afternoon as was initially expected. We're going to adjourn today in just a few minutes. The next hearing will be on Thursday, March 9th. It will start at 9 a.m. That hearing will not be held here. It's going to be held at the Township Building, which is located at 3700 Old Philadelphia Pike. So again, the next hearing in this matter, and this hearing is being continued today to March 9th at 9 a.m. at the Lower Saucon Township Building, 3700 Old Philadelphia Pike. Mark, will we be able to post the door here just in case someone shows up here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. That hearing on March 9th will start at approximately 9 a.m. and we anticipate it going to 4 p.m. I expect to take at least a half-hour break for lunch, around 12:30, but that's going to be based on witnesses' availability and where we are in witness testimony. And then it's expected we're also going to have a hearing on March 10th. That would be also an all-day hearing starting again 9 a.m. Again, that would be at Lower Saucon Township Building, 3700 Old Philadelphia Pike. And it's going to go till, that one is expected to go till at least 4 and probably longer. So for today's purposes, those are the scheduling announcements. I am going to adjourn the actual hearing for the day. The attorneys are going to yes, ma'am.
How is everybody gonna fit in the township building?
It has capacity of up to 150. Yep.
That's for standing.
Yes, ma'am.
building of, no, you can't hear in
We have mics, right? We're gonna have microphones.
microphones, there's no,
We will have microphones. People need to speak directly into them. It will be one person. It'll be one person speaking. So
There's scheduling reasons why we're not going to be able to hold it here due to conflicting events that are being held here. Yes. Yep.
One more, about contacting the other people that are missing today. Will you let them and inform them as to where the meeting will be and when?
the township
So-
will post it
Go ahead, Mark.
on the website, and we'll post it to Constant Contact and Facebook, that the next hearing will be on March 9th, beginning at 9 a.m. at the township building. The continuation of this hearing.
And if anyone were to show up here, we're gonna have the door posted as well to get them over. And of course, it's only a 2-3 minute ride over to the township building. Yes, sir.
So if there's more people than there is room, what, you just turn them away or have them stand outside or what?
If we exceeded capacity, that would become an issue. But today we have 40 or 50 people here, right? Yeah, people left, I understand that.
This isn't the substance of this is, signing up, right? Or not?
Right.
Getting turned down. This isn't the substance of it.
No, the testimonies are gonna start, right, on Thursday, the 9th.
Like, I was thinking of bringing friends and students and stuff, but if the room's too small, it's just, they're just gonna go home.
If there's no room in the section where they're having the meeting, they can stand in the hall.
All
When
right.
somebody's done testifying, they can walk out and the next person can walk in. The room is limited to 150 people. Does everybody understand that?
So if we have a fire code issue or something with respect to capacity, I will have to address it at that time. But this is what I have available to me. We don't have this facility available with respect to the times that we need it.
Are there folding chairs available elsewhere in the building that could be placed in that waiting area?
Are there other chairs available if people had to sit outside?
We're gonna have to work on all that.
Okay.
so.
Can we, as a courtesy to those who have been granted standing, I presume their email addresses are on the applications. Is there some way that perhaps we can at least get the township to send notices to them that Friday's hearing is going to be canceled as a courtesy? I wouldn't want them to have taken a day off only to show up and find the door locked.
I think we've got 70 parties. I don't know that the township's gonna be able to get notice out to all 70 people.
If we send an email out tonight.
I don't have any sheets, so if you can get me the sheets, we can work it out.
All right, the
We can work
township
this
will-
afternoon if you wanna come up.
Thank you, just as a courtesy, and let them know that the hearing will be then resuming.
Yeah, parties are supposed to
When
be
and where.
present during the hearing process, okay? So you have the right to leave, but if you leave, that doesn't mean that you're going to be notified of everything. The hearing continues to go on. Yes, ma'am. Those issues have been discussed and addressed. So if we had to, we will look into that. If we exceed capacity and we can't hold it where we're intending to, then we will have to look into that. Okay. All right. So for today, we are adjourned until March 9th at 9 a.m. That will be at the Township Building. Thank you.
Thank you.
You can do it at 70 if you know what you're doing.
So what's the game plan?
Didn't we have a list of emails that are on it? You don't have to give
Nice to see you there. I was like really tense yesterday. We had something
No, because number one, to go back and get my iPad. So that's but I can all I do is surf the background. I can help you all the
I got enough.
Took off, and then she ended up going back to business step. Oh, no, I do the same thing.